Hi everybody, I'm Shabana, your educator for VARC on Unacademy. Many of you know me, and if you don't know me, well, you can get yourself familiarized with me now because आपको मेरे ही class में आना है and you have to study VARC with me. Okay, so welcome to this session of mine. This is called the Success Story CAT 2020, and we are going to get it right from the horse's mouth. Who is the horse? I'll be taking you over to the horse in a few moments from now. Usse pehle, guys, the quick announcements. Okay, this particular session has been titled Interviews and Goof-ups. I mean, see, I'm not going to take you to the typical interview जिसमें ये होता है कि आपने कैसे prepare किया, who all mentored you, कौन motivate कर रहा था, सब करते हैं. But this particular person is going to show you, is going to kind of elucidate the goof-ups, the faux pas that can happen in interviews. All right. So before we come to him, the quick announcements, guys. This is the iconic CAT 21, the mentorship program, which is definitely worth the while. So go for it. Ask a doubt feature in which you can literally ask anything related to VARC, QA, and DI. Don't think that you can go and ask आज का मौसम क्यों खराब है. All right, this is India's biggest weekly scholarship test. Get yourself enrolled for it if you haven't done it yet. And yes, my referral code is Shabana Live. All capitals, no space, no dot. And this is the bumper offer for CAT 21, the subscription. Okay, taking you over to the person now. His name is Abhiraj Anand. Wo hai kaun? What has he done? We are going to get to know about it totally from him. But before that, I would like to tell you something. When he called me to inform me that, ma'am, I have converted this, I've got the calls, he was like depressed. You know, किसी के पास IIM and IIMs का call है. And that person sounding depressed. I was like totally, I was baffled. I was like, भाई कैसा ज़माना आ गया है? Black, BLACK, right? Your Bangalore, Lucknow, Ahmedabad, Kolkata and Kozhikode. ये 5, उसमें से एक कॉल है आपके पास. और फिर इंदौर, चलो अभी ब्लैक ही ऐड हुआ है, इंदौर का कॉल नहीं था, but Shillong, which is again such a good one. And in spite of getting these calls, Abhiraj Anand sounded depressed when he kind of informed me. And I said to him, what is wrong with you? Go for it, because this is definitely part of black. By black के लिए तो people can give like 2 kidneys में से 1.5 दे देंगे, 1.5 पौने 2 कुछ भी दे सकते हैं लोग for black, right? So, and then you know what he said to me? He said, ma'am, I had set my sights on IIM Bangalore. That was what I had wanted. भैया इनको वो चाहिए था, the Holy Trinity, ABC. Holy Trinity क्या होता है आपको पता है ना? In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. तो वो हमने बना रखा है Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and Kolkata. So इनको ये चाहिए था, Bangalore चाहिए था. He said, ma'am, I had set my sights on Bangalore, and because I could not get it, I'm like in a dilemma. Okay, ma'am, I'll let you know by the end of day if I'm going for it actually. I said, ये तो बात ऐसे कर रहा है जैसे IIM Kozhikode Shillong का call नहीं आया है. He has got a call from probably some local college or something. This is the way he's behaving. अच्छा छोड़ दो, कोई बात नहीं. Let me give him some space. All right. So taking you over to Abhiraj Anand. He is a gem of a person. He is a teacher's delight, of course, and I'm sure mummy papa का भी delight होगा. अब तो वो कहाँ का delight होने वाला. I may as well take autograph from him before he moves on. Okay, guys. So let's move on to the person now. Yes. Abhiraj Anand, I would like to welcome you on behalf of Unacademy to this particular session. I won't call it interview, I'll say a tete-a-tete. Welcome.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me. Good evening to everybody. I hope everybody is safe over there.
Abhiraj, how are you feeling? Are you still feeling depressed?
Really good. Not at all. Not at all. See, there's a very, air of doubt that was hanging over there. And Shabana ma'am, you actually helped me get it cleared. And that end of the day, I talked about it a lot. But yeah, I was seriously very depressed and very indecisive about my decision. And I think when I've made that, I feel really calm and composed because it's one of the best institutes and probably everybody should treat it like one. Like, okay, you should be happy with your achievement. And we're going to talk about what happened in the goof-ups and everything.
Right. Yes. So as I have titled this session of mine, the interview and the goof-ups, the related goof-ups. This is a new angle, and I'm sure this is going to help thousands and thousands of my learners out there. So Abhiraj, we are going to start by getting to know you a little bit of your background so that we all can understand who you are, kahan se aaye hain.
So I was born and brought up in Patna, Bihar. I completed my higher education from here, 10th, 12th, both of them, for which I secured more than 90% marks away. Then I was actually preparing for IIT JEE, and I took a drop year. Couldn't succeed in both of these attempts, and then I finally decided to move into the other field of economics, which I liked actually, prior to pursuing for PCM. I moved to Delhi University. I completed my graduation in economics. I was the college topper and the topper of my batch. Then further, I decided to go for a more quantitative field into economics, and I decided to pursue my master's. And I did my master's in finance from Madras School of Economics, Chennai. In 2019, from there, I got placed at CTS, Cognizant Technology Solutions. And from January 2020, I'm working as an associate at Cognizant.
Okay. So that's quite an impressive profile. And I'm sure when you had decided to appear for CAT, there must have been a lot of clarity in your mind. I mean, what motivated you to go for CAT?
See, a decision to do an MBA was there even after my graduation, but I knew that I had to get some set of skills or some prior work ex, which I felt was very important before doing an MBA. Soon after CTS, I worked with a lot of folks who had prior done an MBA, and I saw the skill set that they brought with them to the company and to the project as well, how well they could do those things. And that became a serious motivation, and that is why I decided to appear for CAT 2020.
Okay, now
probably 8 or 9 months.
Yes, let's fast forward to your interviews. What kind of a percentile did you score?
So I scored 96.5 percentile.
Yes. Would you mind giving us?
I had a category of EWS.
Would you give us the breakup?
EWS.
Would you give us the breakup?
So I don't remember the exact percentiles, but quants was one of the highest scores where I achieved the highest score in quants, followed by VARC, and my lowest was in DILR. If I remember it correctly, DILR was somewhere around 90.8 percentile. This quants was 98 percentile, and VARC was 96 percentile.
Okay, so VARC was 96 percentile. That kind of gives me a relieved feeling. Yeah, okay, fine. थोड़ी सी हमारी वो रह गई, मतलब VARC की इज्जत रह गई. Anyway, so after that, how many calls did you get? Interview calls is what I mean.
So first call that I got was from all the new IIMs, and that's a combined call of CAP.
The CAP calls. Right.
The CAP calls, and included all the new IIMs and the baby IIMs. The second Kozhikode, and the fourth was IIM Shillong. And the interviews were also laid in this fashion, similar fashion. The first interview was IIM, like the CAP interview.
Okay.
Second was Bangalore. Third was Kozhikode, and the last interview was Shillong.
Last was Shillong. All right. So you said the first was CAPS, the second was Bangalore, the third was Kozhikode, and the fourth was Shillong. Fine. And out of these four, the worst interview was?
IIM Bangalore. It was, let's say, not the worst, but yeah, it taught me a lot of things. It wasn't a good interview at all.
Okay. It caught you on the wrong foot because maybe you were not kind of prepared, totally prepared. You were not expecting that kind of a question or whatever came your way, right? So it caught you on the wrong foot, as I said. Would you like to tell us what kind of questions were asked to you in that interview?
Mentioned the first call was CAP, and by giving that interview, I think prior interviews, the people who have given prior interviews, and I followed their methodology that there are going to be a definite set of questions from academics, from your current job, from what are your ambitions and everything. So it was very blueprint was prepared, and I was prepared on those lines. CAP went really well. And since I'm awaiting the results, I'm hoping for a good result from them also. But the second interview was Bangalore. I was not just caught on the wrong foot, I was just surprised by the first question that was asked. And the first question that was asked was, she looked at my profile and she asked me like, okay, so you did your 12th in PCM. Then you decided to go for economics as your bachelor's. Then again, you decided to go for a master's in finance. Now you're doing an MBA. Can I know any particular reason for so much, vibrance, or basically so much disturbance?
Right.
In your career path, are you indecisive about it at all? I thought that first question would be to introduce myself, where I could just lead the interview for which I was prepared. And I wasn't prepared for that. So I answered, okay, I prepared for JEE, but I couldn't succeed in it. I knew that I had to choose a different career path. So I went for economics. I had this in mind prior to doing this and this. Then I went because I wanted to do this quantitative thing. And then she was like, okay, you're trying to tell me and justify all those things. But I see that you are saying that all your decisions were made keeping academics in mind, that there is an academic rigor or something like that. Then why are you doing a MBA? Why so much interested in MBA? Why not go for a PhD then? And I was always prepared for a question that was why MBA. I was never prepared for a question of why MBA, not a PhD, and not further into the academics. And this is what I want to share and what I want to suggest to my peers as well, is that you don't have to take anything personally. The person on the other side of the bench wants to get the best out of you, not the worst. And when you start taking things personally, or when you get agitated, you might answer in a wrong way. You don't mean it. I'm not saying that you will mean it, but that might not go very well with the interviews. And I just said that I think that the quality of academics, or basically the that rigor that is needed for doing a PhD for 5 years, that patience, I don't think I have it as much as is needed. Or maybe those brilliant those are much more brilliant minds at PhD. And then she took it in a wrong way and she was like, okay, so you think that people doing an MBA are not so brilliant? Are you trying to implicate that? And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm not trying to implicate it anyway. I'm just saying that those two are different fields and something like that. And then she was all about asking, different questions. At this point of time, I knew that I haven't answered very well. I lost my calm and composure. And that reflected in my answers, in subsequent answers as well.
But tell me one thing, Abhiraj, I would like to interrupt here. If you could go back in time and change your answer to that particular question, why MBA and why not PhD, what do you think you could have done better? Or what do you think, how could you have answered it in a better way?
Yeah, and after giving this interview, I was always pondering over this same question, that what could have I done? And the thing was that many people go for a PhD even after doing their MBAs.
Right.
And it is an intermediate degree which teaches you in a different aspect. So rather than saying that this could be my terminal education, I would have said that, okay, I'm getting it for a particular purpose. Right. Because I think that these set of skills that will be taught to me during this MBA will benefit me in a corporate or an entrepreneurial manner if I want to do a business. Mm-hmm. But PhD thing, a different aspect, a different life goal, a different academic goal. If I want to pursue a PhD, that could be a case, and I might do it even after doing an MBA. So,
okay. It generally happens with all of us. I'm sure even the audience over there will be able to relate that once we come out of an interview room, and then like we start thinking, oh shucks, I should have said this. And ye usme bhi hota hai na, like when you are kind of having a quarrel with somebody, ऐसा जवाब देना चाहिए था, मुझे ऐसा बोलना चाहिए था उसको. But then again, as Abhiraj has said, please don't take it personally, or don't take things in the negative sense. They are just trying to get the best out of you. They are just trying to understand you as a person. And in the case, Abhiraj ke case, like it happened, she was trying to actually push him into a corner, saying that you come across as a fickle-minded person, you come across as a person who has been like a pendulum, kabhi ye kar rahe, kabhi wo kar rahe, now you want to go for MBA, why not PhD? This is what she was trying to do. So guys, it's better not to lose your calm over there. And even if she has asked you the question, I think it would be good if you just kind of pause for like 30 seconds, 20 seconds. You can say, ma'am, can I think about it and answer? And then, of course, they're not going to say, no, 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 you're not supposed to think. Just take a little bit of time, think and reply calmly. You have to be able to think on your feet. Okay, Abhiraj, you can continue. So what happened after that in the Bangalore interview? Guys, remember? The Bangalore interview.
Yeah. So I like all these things. And then a subsequent question was asked from my academics, like, what is opportunity cost? Can you define opportunity cost? And I was just defining like, what is the cost of losing something? And just when you're going for a different thing, that's something. I was explaining, and in the middle, I was interrupted. And she asked me again. She's like, so what do you think? What would be the opportunity cost of doing an MBA? Oh. I was thinking, like, I have given a very vague answer, a very wrong answer previously. Yes. Should I be answering it correctly now? And I was like, okay, yeah, so the opportunity cost would be like the payments that I'm going to forego for my current work, the investment that I'm going to do, and so on. Right. And she was like, so how much would it accumulate to? And I was like, around, let's say if the fees is 30 lakhs and if I'm earning 9 lakhs per annum, so it will be somewhere close to 50 lakhs. And she's like, so your entire idea of an opportunity cost of doing an MBA is recovery. It will be recovering that cost that you've just given away. And then again, I was caught on the wrong foot because the idea was not to do an MBA for earning money, because that will give an entirely wrong message to the interview boards. And it should have been something else from other perspectives as well. But I was constantly looking at it from a monetary perspective. Monetary, yes. So that was where you went. And it shouldn't have happened like that. It shouldn't have happened like that. But
so yeah. Then what could you have answered? How could you have answered this in a better way?
The actual opportunity cost, of course, with the cost, because I'm an economist, so I have to answer the monetary aspect as well. But I should have added or augmented in my answer that there will be a lot of opportunities in the consulting sector in which I'm currently working, that I'll be looking. I'm doing an MBA for 2 years. There will be very good opportunities in the machine learning or data science field that I might be, because once I'm placed from an MBA B school, I'll be doing something as a managerial role, at a managerial role, in an entirely different manner. Example, if I get placed at a supply chain management consulting, I'll be doing that, and I'll be losing those opportunities of working in my field. That could have been a better answer,
right? And then after that, did she finally come down on it? Did she become benign with you?
The other interview, so she was like, I'm fine with it, and then I was completely.
Tell me one thing, Abhiraj. All this while, what was that other gentleman doing? Was he just taking notes, or what was he doing? He was playing something on his mobile.
Yeah, so he was constantly looking. He was noting some things.
Right.
Probably what I feel is that he was noting more of the aspects from my job, because whenever I said something about analytics or something, I am guessing that he was teaching operational research or analytics. That's my guess, because I started asking those questions. He was like, I don't have to ask a lot of questions from you, but just tell me which is the technology that you've been using currently and what is the exact manner of work that you do. In the end, he said that you have described traveling as one of your hobbies.
Okay.
So he might ask some things like, where are the places that you've traveled? And he's like, name the 4 new states formed in India, the 4 newest states formed in India.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, so like it's a GK question. And Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand and Jharkhand came to my mind. And I lost Telangana completely. Which I studied at an institute in Tamil Nadu. But at that point of time, I just missed it. And he was like, okay, that's fine.
You should have said, I have not visited any of these places, so don't ask me.
I guess, and after that interview, I was taken back. It was very hard to keep my motivation up for the upcoming 2 interviews. And only manner it was like, I was thinking of giving all the mocks. In 4 days, I gave 12 mocks of CAT because I knew that I had to give it again in 2021. So I started preparing for it. And that was my only way to get my composure back. And after doing those mocks, what I realized was that although I'm getting a good percentile, my entire admission will depend on one factor, and that is the day of the interview, how I perform in front. And this is my question to my peers also. And I know all the educators keep mentioning it always. Like, CAT is an important aspect of being selected into the IIMs. The interview is equally important. You should give a lot of, focus on how to. It's a skill. Basically, it's just a skill, and you can develop it by continuously practicing it. And what I did was I took the interview as granted. That was my biggest. I thought that these are the particular set of questions that are going to get asked. I didn't have an open mind when I was going to the interview. That was my biggest mistake.
Yeah,
if you don't have an open mind, you have to be ready, because those panelists are new. Those are ace people. They've been teaching at the institute for 20 years. They know tens of thousands of people like you. They will just catch you at any place, even if you're performing very well. But they need to get the best out of you, for which they will push you harder. For that, you have.
And then compared to Bangalore, how did Kozhikode and Shillong go? Were you more hopeful after appearing for Kozhikode and Shillong? Were you hopeful, or did you goof up again in those also?
Yeah, so there will be some amount of goof up, and there will be some questions you will always not be able to answer. So let me start with the Kozhikode interview.
Yeah.
So after all this, I had 15 days, close to 15 days for between the Bangalore and Kozhikode interview. And then I started wondering, okay, what could have I done better? And let's implement it. Let's take it as a challenge and let's implement it. Hoga nahi hoga, we'll see, but let's implement it. I prepared all my academic questions, and from these two interviews, I got the gist that they'll ask only basic questions from their academies. They just want to know that you studied well. That's fine. Next questions would be from what you have written in your SOP, and how do you want to present yourself.
Right.
I went to the interview revising my SOP, revising all the keywords that I had. And I went to the interview. The panelist, she was a female member again. And she asked me the question that, the first question was, do you like your job? Now, if I would have answered in a jiffy, I might have gotten a wrong foot again. I took 10 seconds for it. Didn't say anything, like I need a 10 seconds. Framed an answer in my mind, a flow in my mind at least. Like, oh, yeah, I like my job. And then how I justify it. Like, I do those things that I have studied and I like it very well. These are, I have developed as a person over here. I learned new skills, and so I like my job. She was happy with it. She was like, okay, then doing this, how do you think this MBA will shape you up? I was prepared for it. I had actually 5 answers prepared for why an MBA. I was like, okay, let's give an answer which is very honest. And how do we do it? Just answering like, this will help me grow in my career on these perspectives, on these aspects. And she asked me the question, which was very interesting actually. She asked me like, okay, you have done all these things like economics and everything. Now you're doing it to data analyst, which is in itself a very big specialization in a field. Suppose tomorrow you go into a place, into a firm where you do sales and marketing. Do you all these things that you've done prior to this are at loss? Like, are you at loss, or would you think that it was just, barbadi tha time? I was like, again, I took some time and I started justifying them that, yes, ma'am, I don't think like it will be based off any of my words, because whatever I studied, whatever I learned has shaped me in some certain manner, because of which I'm today sitting over here, or I'm doing a job at my company. Obviously, the things that I from here, I'll take them for myself. And I answered something like I read about it in a book. And I said that, ma'am, I think that any job 10 years into the line is a sales job. Whether you become a partner of the firm or a director of the firm, you'll basically be pitching an idea to the client. You'll be selling an idea. And everything boils down to sales and marketing. If you're good at it, that's a very good skill to have. And if I get placed at a firm, I think it will be very good. I won't mind it at all. By looking at her face, I could say that she was very much satisfied with my answer. And just because after that, she stopped asking me any kind of academic question. She was just asking like, how is the COVID situation panning out in your area? What do you think about this? And just general questions, which I was thinking that could be because of could lead to something else, but it did not. She just asked me 3 questions and they were very basic. After this, she moved to the next, and the person was also asking me questions regarding economics, technical stuff. One question he asked me was like, how much is the American economy bigger in terms of size from the Indian economy? For which I said incorrectly, because after that, my brother was listening to the interview and he was telling me, being an economics guy, you answered it wrong. How can you get selected at this? But it was the approach. He was looking for an approach. How do you define? Because it was the end of the quarters and all these results, quarter-end results for Tesla, Amazon, all the big American firms was released. And I was looking at them and I told them that this much is these billion of dollars they have generated in revenue for the last year. And I think because of that, the size of the economy might be this much. And he was satisfied. It was a wrong answer. I explained it explicitly that it might be wrong in terms of number, but that's my approach.
Yeah, so what you are saying is like you missed on that number, but the approach that you took, the way that you explained it, they just wanted to see if you have that kind of an analytical mind to handle that question.
Exactly.
That is what. So audience, I'm sure you're getting a clue from here as to what your approach should be. Even if you miss on exactly on the mark, it's okay. But they just want to know the way you think, your perspective. Okay, Abhiraj. So then what else did he ask you after that?
So, and then he was, it was the end of March, I guess. And what do you think about the Bengal elections? Who do you think will win?
Right.
And I knew that this could lead to political perspective and I should refrain from it. But I have to explain my answer. These are not a question where you can say that, no, I don't know an answer. For a question of, you might say that I don't know, but this you might have to answer and you have to answer actually. So in a very calm manner, I said that, okay, looking at the stance of the BJP, they have been publicizing a lot of it. There might be a fair share of seats that they might win, but looking at Mamata Banerjee's stand and her stronghold, I don't think that they will be able to defeat her completely or something. He was fine with it. He was fine with it. He didn't want a complete answer. He just wanted to see that if I was aware of the political news
situation, yes, political
situations,
yes,
general awareness, general.
Right.
So in that manner, it.
Yeah, so I think when you came out of your Kozhikode interview, you were like you were like at peace. You thought that, okay, this has gone off well compared to your
much better.
Yes,
much better than my Bangalore.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all right. So yes, we have understood. And I'm sure the CAP interview must have been the easiest of the lot, right? The basic.
Yes. It is like the blueprint of interviews that you see.
Yeah.
The question will be introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. You have 5 or 6 lines prepared for it. And I say that this should be prepared for every interview. You should not go unprepared.
Yes.
Your introduction should have those keywords. It was easy because the questions were asked in the CAP interview as desired by me. Could have gone in any other manner. But those 5-6 lines had those keywords, which I wanted them to understand. Like I did my master's in finance. I explicitly, emphasized on I am doing something in machine learning. I knew that I had 100% of those things covered. So I asked them. They subsequently asked those questions from those points only, and it went really well. Of course, there were also terms where I was not very comfortable, but yeah, I managed to sail.
So see, what Abhiraj is trying to say over here is that definitely there is a blueprint. I mean, when you are preparing for your interviews, first thing what he said is don't take it for granted. I mean, you have to give it a lot of importance, because even I feel that, let's say a person has scored 98 or 99 percentile in CAT written exam, but if he comes to me for an interview and if I'm sitting on the other side of the table, he comes across as a person with like a lopsided knowledge. I mean, he doesn't have kind of like, the idea about the topical issues. He doesn't have a broad perspective. He cannot speak on any topic. He doesn't have an analytical mind. I don't think his CAT percentile would convince me to take him on board. So that is one thing, you have to give it a lot of importance. You have to be prepared for it beforehand. The second thing what he's saying is that there is a blueprint, definitely. So be prepared with like the regular questions. This is what he said, like tell us something about yourself. Why MBA? What do you expect from this institute? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Such questions, you get them plastered all over Google, right? So these questions are there. But the third and the most important thing which Abhiraj has been trying to say is that one size fits all is not there. I mean, it can depend on the mood of the interviewer. लड़ाई करके भी आए हो सकते हैं उस दिन किसी के साथ वो, so they can kind of decide to take it out on you. जैसा उस दिन वो female करके आई थी, I think, I don't know. And then maybe it can be just like they decide that okay, ये वाला बंदा अच्छा लग रहा है, let's grill him to the core. So what he's trying to say, the third and the most important point is that you have to be ready for any kind of impromptu questions too. I mean, for all you know, you go and sit there and maybe I'm just giving an example. The interview can simply start with, okay, so what does the weather look like to you today? How do you feel? How do you feel today because of the weather? And can you give us an analysis? So I'm just saying it can be, why not? I mean, I would love to hear a candidate speak his mind on the weather. Let's see if he knows what the temperature is. Let's see if he knows what the overall climate of the place is and how today's weather is kind of moving away from there, or it's kind of according to that climate. So that's just an example, right? Abhiraj, am I right on those 3 points which I said, the way I
absolutely, absolutely right.
So in the end, Abhiraj, what one message would you like to pass on to the thousands of aspirants that are there struggling to reach their goals?
I'm not a specialist in this. Of course, you are in the hands of Shabana, ma'am, you must know better. But yeah, like one piece of advice which will be from my side is, there might be times where you might not be scoring well in your CATs, in your interviews, or at any point of time. You should know that this will not be the end. You should have that in your mind. And this little hope gives you a lot of calm, a lot of composure, and most importantly, a lot of confidence. And if you are confident in your interview, like I said earlier, even if you give a wrong answer, it will not matter. But with how much confidence and with how much analysis and analogy you give it, that would matter to you. Because they don't expect you to have pen and paper and draw graphs over there, but you should have the confidence in your answer. Like, yes, I know it perfectly, and I think that it might be a correct answer. That would be it. And just one thing, like, don't hesitate in taking time from your interviews, because this happened at my Shillong interview where we were discussing a technical aspect. It was going in a very lopsided direction. I knew that this could be the very well end of my interview over here. And I asked her, like, ma'am, I think we're going into a lot of different directions. Can I just take 25 seconds to gather my thoughts?
Right.
And she was completely fine with it. On the other side, I think this gives a very good impression of you in the interview, because this guy, even though when things are not going according to him, he might take some time, get his thoughts in place, and then answer correctly. This is a very important managerial skill that everybody will be looking for. And if you can do that, do not hesitate in it. And ma'am mentioned it earlier, so I thought that I should bring it.
Right. So I'm so happy that Guru Abhiraj Anand also agrees with my point of view. You know, that is like, as I said earlier, I need to take his autograph before he moves on to his new campus. By the way, yes, even I would like to say something in the end before we finish this session. Just one piece of advice based on what he said. He said that you have to be able to speak and you have to be confident and all. Where does that confidence come from? That is going to come, guys, only if you read a lot of stuff all along during the journey. So what happens, guys, when you are preparing for CAT, you become so focused. QADI, VARC, RC, PJ, RC, OOO, odd one out, okay, QA, percentile, percentage, blah, 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 DI, this. कहाँ बैठेगा राम, कहाँ बैठेगा श्याम, कहाँ बैठेगा पंकज, उसके पीछे बैठेगा मोहन, उसके आगे बैठेगा, seating arrangement. That is not going to take you to your dream college. I can give it to you in written. You need to have a diverse knowledge spectrum. So guys, my piece of advice is all through the journey, enjoy the journey by reading a lot of stuff, watching a lot of stuff. You've got literally the world at your fingertips. Watch as much as you can. devour the information that comes your way. That's you should have that insatiable hunger for knowledge. Whether you pick up an editorial or you sit down and watch Netflix or YouTube or anything, but just keep lapping up all the information that comes your way. Because if you are a well-read person, if you're a well-informed person, only then will you be able to speak in front of that panel of judges. And for all you know, that same female can be sitting and waiting for you for the next interview, guys. So please, it's a humble request from both of us, Abhiraj and me. Sharpen your fangs and go all out. You can be the next winner. Abhiraj, thank you so much. It was lovely getting to know all those things from you, right from the horse's mouth. All the very best for your career ahead. Yes, and once again, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The pleasure was all mine.
All right. See you. Bye-bye.